on this little program and read some stories and sing, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as we will. Okay, we're going to start with Silent Night. Jennifer's going to play, and we can all sing. How many verses? Three verses.
Peter.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful for all of our blessings and for the opportunity we have to gather as a family and have a family communion for Christmas. We ask for thy Spirit to be with us and we might have a nice evening and enjoy each other's company. We pray for Christmas. Be with us as we have coming in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Julie, do you want to read yours first, just in case she calls the car? I found the perfect stinky for her. Yeah. I washed my hands and let her suck on it. She loved it. When you're ready.
I'll treat you.
You can stand up if you want. Or just turn your head or something. You want to hold her?
Show Ryan it. This is the baby. She's 3 months old tomorrow. Okay. This Christmas story is called The Tale of Three Trees. Madison has not had a nap today, so she is not very well. Once upon a mountaintop, 3 little trees stood and dreamed into the valley where busy men and busy women work in a busy town. I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all, she said. I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world. Years passed, the rains came, the sun shone, and the little tree grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. "Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest," thought the first tree. "I shall hold wonderful treasure." The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, "This tree is strong. It is perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. "Now I shall sail mighty waters," thought the second tree. "I shall be a strong ship fit for peace." The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked away. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. "Any kind of tree would be good for me," he muttered. With a swoop of his shining, swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him into a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about the treasure chest. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to a shipyard. But no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat. Too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river, he was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in a lumberyard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was to stay on the mountaintop and point to God. Many, many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. I wish I could make a crate for him," her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. "This manger is beautiful," she said. And suddenly, the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon, a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hands, and said, The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun, and suddenly the second tree knew he was carrying the kingdom of heaven on earth. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun arose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree so strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world.
Maybe we should have Jennifer and April sing that just in case Elizabeth gets it.
But everyone's like heard it.
Here, right.
Josh, come here.
That's you. It's your performance. There was a shiny Christmas tree standing out where all could see. Its brilliance captured every eye and seemed to cheer each passerby. The lights were so bright, they would say, and hesitant to walk away. The tree stood proud, ablaze with light, for every light was burning red. Then one bulb was heard to say, "I'm tired of burning night and day. I think I'll just go out and rest, for I'm too tired to do my best. Besides, I am so very small, I doubt if I'd be missed at all." Then the child lovingly touched the light. "Look, Mother, this one shines so very bright. I think of the light upon the tree, this one looks the best to me." "Oh my goodness," said the light, "I almost dimmed right out of sight. I thought perhaps no one would care if I felt to do my share." But that a glorious brilliance came, for every light had felt the same. Our gospel, like this Christmas tree, with little lights which are yet you and me. We each have a space that we must fill with love and lessons and goodwill. Let's keep our tree ablaze with light, with testimonies burning bright, for our gospel is a living tree that lights the way to eternity.
You want to do yours, Jennifer? Just in case he gets tired of it.
This is called The Parable of the Birds by Paul Harvey. This is a parable of a modern man, one of us. He was not a Scrooge. He was a kind, decent, mostly good man. Generous to his family, upright in his feelings of his end. But he did not believe in all that incarnation stuff which the churches proclaim at Christmas. It just didn't make sense, and he was too honest to pretend otherwise. He just couldn't swallow the Jesus story, you know, about God coming to earth as a man. He couldn't understand why Jesus would come to earth as a man, suffer through mortal trials, and live as any other man. bird myself, he thought. If only I could be a bird and mingle with them, and speak their language and tell them not to be afraid, and show them the way to the big warm barn. I wish I could be one of them so they could see and hear and understand. At that moment, the church bells began to ring. The sound reached his ears above the sounds of the wind. He stood there listening to the bells pealing the glad tidings of Christmas. At that moment, he understood it. He understood why Jesus came as a man, to be one of us, to show us by his example and love for us the way home. He sank to his knees in the snow and wept. Sorry! I cry all the time. Just ignore me.
You should know, Josh, but the funny part of this is, when Jennifer was about 12 or 13, maybe April age, we went to the thing where I was reading Christmas stories every week. Every one I read, at first I was always bawling and saying, "Oh, what is the matter? Why can't you get through it without crying?" And she's worse than I am.
I'm not worried.
Well, maybe not worse. Kind of sad anyway. Okay. I had a really hard time deciding which of these to read because they're really good. So, oh dear, I gotta find a good light. I've either gotta have a good light or my glasses, one of the two, probably my glasses. April has it.
What?
She's just wondering where she was. I left my
She
glasses.
puked on me again. It's like the third time in the... Now you know why I walked out of the Russell. I can puke all the time.
You should introduce yourself to Ryan on camera. Unfortunately, Ryan, your mother has to give you the glasses this time of night. It is a bad light. In the morning, in the morning, in a good light, I'm fine. But this time of night, it's all over. Okay, this is called the Slice of Christmas. The snow lay in a thick blanket all around our small farmhouse. Inside, the warm, cheery lights were a sharp contrast to the cold dreariness outside. It was the first Christmas Eve that our family had spent together in the last 5 years. My oldest brother had been away at college and hadn't had the money to return for every Christmas. My older sister, who had been married for 3 years, was visiting with her husband. For the first time in a long time, our family felt complete. That Christmas Eve was a special one and has given me many fond memories. Bright lights sparkled on the Christmas tree that blessed the room with its scent. Everywhere, festive holly, garlands, wreaths, or some other ornamentation decorated the house. The sounds of laughter mixed with the faint Christmas carols that came from my sisters singing to each other in the upstairs bedroom. From the kitchen drifted the heavenly aromas of turkey, potatoes, and pumpkin pie. It was in the midst of this happy scene that I heard my mother calling me from the kitchen. Slowly I pushed myself up from the floor where I had been sitting, listening to one of my brother's stories about college, and dragged myself into the kitchen. My mother was wrapping up a beautiful golden pumpkin pie. "James," she said, without looking up, "I need you to run this pie over to Claire. I promised him that I would bring it, but I just don't have the time." I opened my mouth, but she had already hustled me out the door, so I had no chance to argue. I couldn't believe it. It was Christmas Eve. All of my family was having a great time, and I was stuck driving alone in the snow to a strange old man's house to deliver a pie. It was barely noon, but already a gray dreariness hung in the sky. With luck, I wouldn't be gone long, and I beat the storm back home. Claire was our closest neighbor, but it still took a while to get to his house. I didn't know much about him, not even his last name. His wife had died before I was born, and all of his children were grown, married, and lived far away. I suppose he was at least 80 years old, just a lonely old hermit. Though the rest of his farm had been sold a long time ago, he still lived in the same house himself. He even refused to visit his children at Christmas time, and would just say, "I like to stay home with my memories." When I pulled up to the shack, I wasn't surprised to see that all the lights were off. After all, I thought it was a holiday. Even Claire must have some friends to visit somewhere, right? Still, I had to deliver, so I decided to make sure no one was home. I knocked lightly and waited. After a few minutes, I tried the door handle. The door opened easily. "Who is it?" It demanded.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's pumpkin. Well, bring it in and shut the door. Yes, sir, I answered, ducking inside. It took a moment for my eyes to adjust to the dimness. I flipped the switch and the lights flickered on. Excuse me, sir, I said softly. Is there a reason it's so cold in here? Of course there's a reason, he snapped. Would I be sitting here in this blasted cold for no reason? I just don't have the strength to build a fire, that's all. Without waiting for permission, I started building a fire in the cold fireplace. It wasn't long before the light and warmth of the fire was spreading all about the small room. Much better, I said. The fire seemed to lift the old man's spirits as well. Cheerfully, he demanded, well now, James, let's cut up that pumpkin pie, shall we? I really wanted to get back home to my family. I was tempted to excuse myself, but one look at the lonely man's expectant face, and all I could do was ask where the fork and plate were. As I was serving, Claire said, of course I would be doing this if I had the strength, but since my illness, some days it's just too hard. And I hadn't even known he was sick. When we had finished one piece of pie and I was dishing up another, I finally said, how could you raise 5 kids in a house like this? As I said it, I realized it must have sounded very rude, but he didn't seem to know it. He thought a moment and said, well now, James, just because this house is small doesn't mean it wasn't big enough. There was plenty of room for love, and this house has seen a lot of it. Why do you still live here all alone? Oh, I'm not alone, he sighed. Sure, I could go live with my children or grandchildren, but here I'm surrounded by memories. You know, Christmases were never this dull before. We'd have a large tree in the corner with the children's presents under it, and a turkey dinner. But it wasn't the turkey or the presents or the tree or anything else that made Christmas special. It was having our family together, sharing our lives and love. That's what Christmas happy time. The outside world could go on its merry way, or even end for all we cared. When we were close together, nothing else mattered. And now that everyone close to me is gone, I can still sit alone and remember those happy times, and it's like they're all here. The silence that followed was suddenly broken by a fierce howl of the wind that had startled us. The snow was swirling around. I could barely see a few feet in front of me. But I walked a few feet from the house and tripped over a pine bough. I ran back into the house with a branch in my hand. Claire looked at me in puzzlement. I didn't say anything till I had the branch standing in a corner supported by some books. There, I said with satisfaction. What is it? Claire asked. It's your Christmas tree, of course. Claire looked at it for a minute, and then he started to laugh. So with the wind shrieking outside and the snow piling up deeper and the day growing later, Claire and I set about decorating his tree. Claire had given his decorations away to his children, so we cut paper snowflakes and strung popcorn. Then I draped them over the little branches according to Claire's direction. I tried to get Claire to sing Christmas carols, but he said he was too old, so I sang twice as fast. When we were finished, we sat in silence, admiring our work. The sorry little tree only stood 3 feet high. No fancy presents lay beneath it, and no light shone from its branches. But we both agreed it was the prettiest Christmas tree we had ever seen. Suddenly I had an idea. Claire, I asked, how would you like to come home with me and spend Christmas with me? Claire looked almost angry. James, I said I didn't want to be surrounded by a bunch of people. I'm happy here. Besides, I don't want to be a burden. You won't be a burden, I said. They'll love you. And besides, no amount of memories can replace the love of human beings. Claire looked away in silence and for a few minutes sat still. Then I saw tears filling her eyes. What about our tree? I grinned. We'll leave it here, and it'll be waiting when you get back. All right, I'll go, but just for an hour or so. I gathered a few things that he wanted to take so that he could still have his memories with him for Christmas. The snow was so bad I could barely see my way to the truck. As we pulled away from his house, I looked in the rearview mirror. The house was just a dark form. The little house that had been built with such loving care was just a house, I realized. But for some reason, I felt a sense of peace, glad that the house could have one more happy memory. Claire must have felt the same peace, for he began to sing softly, Silent Night, Holy Night. All the way home, we sang Christmas carols. Despite the slow, treacherous drive, we were home sooner than I expected. My family was worried, but I quickly explained what had happened, and they welcomed Claire as if she were one of us. The next morning, Claire's daughter arrived unexpectedly with her husband and children. They had come to surprise him for Christmas. And after a few days of pleading, he gave in and went to live with his family. Before he left, he said something to me about thanks for showing him that love comes from peace, not places. He telephoned Christmas Day every year until he passed away. And now when I look back at my favorite Christmas memory, it's not of a big Christmas feast, a bright tree, or even the beautiful sound of my sister singing carols. Rather, it's the memory of eating pumpkin pie in a small golden shack, a humble 3-foot branch decorated with paper and moss, and the memory of a lonely old man singing Silent Night fills my heart with I think we need another song. Peter, do you want to sing? Wait a minute.
That isn't so hard to use right away, isn't it? Julia?
It was too noisy for her to sleep in us. Sorry.
Okay.
Now, while we go around, let everybody say a quick message to Ryan. And then we can have our prayer, and then they have a video for us that they brought. It's the story of Lily. What? Josh and Ginger brought the video.
Look in the Bible.
Look in the Bible, you know. That when you don't-
We don't have time to think of what to say. Well, Mom, you go first and see how much.
Hi, Ryan. We hope you had a great Christmas. You obviously won't get this till a week or so after, depending on how long it takes Dad to put it together. But we hear that you're doing absolutely terrific and teaching lots of discussions, and supposedly you even had a baptism today if it went through. We just want you to know that we love you and miss you, but we're so happy for what you're doing. And we're definitely looking forward to talking to you on Christmas.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, get up to this again.
Hi Ryan, I'm your new future mother-in-law, and heard a lot about you. I'm excited to talk to you on Christmas. Your mom talks about you a lot. She loves you a lot, and hear you're a good missionary. Hear you're doing lots of good work. Sorry we didn't wait for you to get home, but
No, they're not.
I'm excited to meet you, and like I said, I've heard a lot about you. I understand we're a lot alike, so I think hopefully we can along really well. Of course, I love your sister a lot, and you do too, I know. You know how wonderful she is, isn't it? That's it, I don't know what to say.
You guys are gonna get along really well, right? You love that.
Hi. Well, that's Josh.
Those Ginger has braces.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, do a big lower lip smile. Yeah, Ginger got braces a couple months ago, but I do have red and green Christmas elastics on them right now because I wanted to be festive. But I'm not very happy about that, so we didn't talk about it very much. Yes, they will be on for my wedding. Anyway, but basically, I just finished finals this week, and they're over, is all I have to say. And I just moved back home, which is kind of wonderful.
For us, not for her.
No, I had a really good time down there. I loved it, but I'm glad to be home, and I'm glad I'm getting married, especially to Josh, and he's a great guy. As you saw, you'll get to talk to him, but I can't wait for you guys to meet each other either, because you're a lot alike, and you're just going to love each other. But, I'm not really doing anything now with my life. I'm going to start taking dance kids, planning my wedding, and going to school at the Salt Lake Center at BYU. And that's about it. And my birthday's coming up. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Hi, Ryan. See, my life is pretty much school, dance, school and dance. That's pretty much my life. I just did a Christmas show with Jan, and I'm actually in it. Had a solo and a dance, and have to send me a video. And school, I got a 3.8 almost. First term, and now I'm doing good, except I'm like failing math, and no, and that's my life. So Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you.
We are together, Jen. Sure.
Then you can do most
Oh, yeah, she did read a story. Well, you know who we are. We're still about the same. Josh is growing, and this is little Josh now that we have big Josh, so. And this is the other little shrimp, but
You finally had it.
knocked out, so. And she's really tall, by the way, for her age, so, and she has red hair, so she's someone's child. But everything's about the same. I'm in school, and I haven't gained a full testimony of school yet. It's good, I guess. It's just long, but that's life, I guess. So if you hurry back, you can join in the studies. What else have we got today? You'll probably finish before I do. Yeah, I'll probably do plastic surgery, and then after that I'll go into some other field. Right?
I'd like to get free life, and family members, it's free, right?
That's right.
Right, like
That's
you
right.
said.
And then after I finish medical school, I'm going to go get my MBA. So we're just going to stay in school. Yeah. Yeah. Because see, then I can just take out student loans, and then someday I'll die, but I won't have to pay them back. So just keep taking loans out. But other than that, that's about it. Unless you've got something to say.
No, love you and miss you. I had a dream of you the other night. Came home 6 months early. I did too. Don't know why. I too.
Well, don't unless the prophet tells you to.
Stay.
Yes, please don't do that. Don't stay there.
And that's it.
That's all.
We'd like to turn the time over now to Peter and Julie.
I love you, Ryan.
As you notice, Peter has a George Clooney look.
Like the new look? I figured I'm starting to recede so bad, so I gotta fix the hair. So just a hint, you know, it's gonna happen to you.
But you can go away, lose hair in style. Look like George.
Well, Our lives have been quite different the past few months. Adjusting to a new baby, but it's been a lot of fun. And so lately, I work part-time, and Peter's been working part-time, so he goes to work in the morning, and then I go in the afternoon, and then he'll go to school at night, so it's kind of busy. But we both get time with the baby, so it works out good. And I have 2 quarters of school left, so I'm hoping to spread it out and do some class here and there and get done anyway before we go to Finland. So that's pretty much what's going on with us. And Peter,
Well,
say about you.
I joined my ward basketball team. What a shocker. Yeah.
Never played basketball before, so
So by the time you get back, I'll have to challenge you.
Next year, he's playing for Rick Majerus
the Jazz.
with the other Finnish player.
By the way, the Utes have a Finnish player on their team. I don't know if you heard that, but that makes it more interesting for me.
Isn't he on the Finnish national team?
Of course, that doesn't take much.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about school?
1 more quarter and I'm done. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Our little Madison is displayed too, so
Yeah, she had it. She was really tired, so she's asleep upstairs. But anyway, that's pretty much what's going on with us. And good luck with your mission, and we hope you had a good Christmas. And just think, next Christmas you'll be with us. And this is Josh. And so, and here's Josh.
Josh hasn't said anything, but you definitely have got an impression of what a live wire is. It's not happening.
He'll make his presence known when you come back.
Hi, Sam. The automatic focus just broke, so I'm sorry it's not going to look better.
Oh, it did? Let Peter
I
do
didn't
it.
break it, it broke on Julie, I think. So it's not working very good. It keeps going in that focus.
Broke on Julie.
What is that supposed to mean? It starts focusing on me and broke.
Focus on Julie.
No.
Josh, say something to Ryan.
You want Peter to focus?
I have to have
Oh,
it. You can, it keeps moving in and out.
Say hi to Uncle Ryan.
Camera.
He's in the camera. Yeah, that's really work the brain. He's in the, go talk to the camera.
Can you say hi? Come here. Come a little closer, over here. Come say, can you tell him how you say bless Uncle Ryan on his mission?
How
I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Bless Ryan.
I don't know what it is. Can you tell the camera what you're going to get for Christmas? Can you say straight train? What is Santa Claus bringing you? Maybe not. Fire engine and a freight train? That's what he talks about all the time.
That and Toy Story.
Yeah, and Buzz from Toy Story.
Do you have that movie at home?
Where? That's for this Christmas. Yeah.
We rented it.
We ran it and he just went bonkers, so.
Yeah, why don't we have a closing prayer, kid, and look for what she can do.
Good luck, Ryan.
I love you.
I'll say the prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the home evening we've had. We hope that Ryan will get some enjoyment out of it, and we ask thee to bless him on his mission and bless all of us that we can live our lives to the best that we can. And we ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.